It's like you say his name 3 times, he pops up in a good way. Let's go ahead and hit the scientific method with our guy Patrik No-C Walker from DallasCowboys.com. Good morning, good brother.
Good morning and happy game day, man.
Game
There's
day.
to the name 3 times and pop up like candy, man.
I was just about to say, and you know what, man? Candyman was, until this day, might be the scariest movie I watched as a child. Yeah.
It's up there.
It's up there, bro.
I'd say it's top 5. Might even be top 3. I think it's that much scarier for kids who grew up in that environment like myself, where it's just like, on one note, it was different when, like, Jason and Freddie was killing the young white kids in the suburbs. That was scary enough, but it was like, okay. But then Candyman was like, oh, you can get touched in the project.
You get touched in the hood, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hold on now. Like, that's a violation. We didn't agree to this.
And
So,
the bathroom scene ruined me, bro. Ruined me.
Yeah.
You know?
It'll do that. Yeah. Candyman shook up some young black kids.
Facts.
But yeah, man, we're here. Game day. What's good, brother?
We here. It's game day, and at this point, if you say Dak Prescott's name 5 times, he popping up with 300 yards and 4 tutties on you. So, you know, they better be careful out there tonight. We're gonna break that down a little bit later, but let's kind of start this thing off like we usually do. I didn't talk about the injuries because it didn't seem like there were any, which is a great thing. So if there's anything that popped up we don't know about, Pat, can you update us on the Cowboys injury report heading in tonight?
Well, everybody is a full go. I mean, that's the fantastic news. When you go down the injury report, you had a couple guys like Dante Fowler. He missed 2 practices with illness, and it seems like there was a bug going around the defensive end room because Micah Parsons, he missed the practice with illness as well. Both of them were back in full participation on yesterday. They have no game designation, so they're a full go. We know Rico Dowdle, he's been nursing the ankle injury, but he didn't miss any practices, and it's not held him out, and it won't hold him out in this game either. Jaron Kearse, true to his word, when I asked him earlier this week what are his odds of playing on Thursday against the Seahawks, he looked at me, smiled, and said 200%. All right, man of his word, he will go. He's a full go. Monty Smith, he's dealing with a shoulder injury, but he was not limited at all. So he's good. Tyrus Wheat, a little bit of a scare, got entered into the concussion protocol on Monday, but he was back at practice the very next day as a full participant. So everybody's a full go. The only question that looms going into tomorrow is, are the Cowboys, or today rather, will the Cowboys, when they make their elevations, which will be at some point today, they have some transactions by 3 p.m., we're looking to see if they do any practice squad elevations, but more importantly, I want to see what they're doing with Payton Hendershot.
Yes.
Hendershot, he's been a full participant for now 3 weeks of practice. Every single practice he's been a full participant. They activated his 21-day window approximately 3 weeks ago. So a decision looms on him, because if they don't activate him to the active roster, he reverts to season-ending injured reserve. You will not see him for the remainder of this season or in the playoffs. But if they choose to activate him, then, of course, they have to sacrifice a roster spot for that. And the question is, who do you do that? What body gets sent to waivers? Because, again, it's waivers, which means they're subject to be claimed. You might not get a shot at getting them back on the practice squad. So that's the chess match the Cowboys are trying to figure out right now with Payton Hendershot.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Payton Hendershot get downgraded? He kind of been a full participant for like the last 3 weeks, and all of a sudden he was downgraded to questionable, which kind of reminds me of what happened to the rookie Fehoko, where out of nowhere he popped up on the injury report as questionable or what have you. Next thing you know, he hit IR. Is there something to that, or he's legitimately still nursing an injury?
I think there's a little bit of, first of all, there's plenty of ambiguity there, because the problem is not only do they have to figure some things out as far as Payton Hendershot is concerned, but by changing his designation about an hour after the injury report came out yesterday to questionable, that at least puts them in the position to say, okay, if we decide that we're going to keep him on season-ending IR, then, hey, he was questionable to begin with, right? But if they choose to activate him, then that game designation is of no consequence. Okay. So I think it just gives them a better leverage as far as, if they choose not to. Now, because between you, me, and everyone listening, I find it difficult to believe that he carried no game designation at 3 p.m., but then at 4 p.m., like something popped up. Like, it's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is possible that after yesterday's practice, he came in and they looked him over and there was something that they didn't feel great about. That's possible. But it's also equally possible that they simply just overall, looking at his body of practices over the past 3 weeks, they might feel like he's just not where they need him to be, and that might have led them to kind of second guess it and say, you know what, let's just go ahead and tag him as questionable, have this conversation more on Thursday morning, midday Thursday, before we make a decision. Now, don't know if that decision is necessarily coming today. It could come at some point this weekend, but what we do know is that they're up against that 21-day window. So if no move is made on Payton Hendershot, I want to say by next Monday, you're not going to see him. And then that locks in the Cowboys tight end room as far as Jake Ferguson, Schoonmaker, who's making strides, and Sean McEwen.
Let's stay on the injury front real quick, but about somebody that's not here at the moment. The Cowboys and Philly, they seem to be neck and neck for the services.
Now, speaking of weekend decisions.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Speaking
the
of weekend decisions.
A big one. Shaq Leonard, he came in for some medical checks, and a lot of people seem to be unsure exactly about what's going on with him, myself included, because I understand there's a back thing there may be a nerve thing here. What exactly did they want to check out when he got here, Pat?
Well, they were already satisfied with what they had received as far as his medicals are concerned prior to setting up a meeting. Otherwise, there would not have been a meeting in the first place. So that's very good progress in that capacity. When he got into the building, obviously they set him down with the training staff, Brett Brown, the physicians there at the Star, and they just basically gave him a basic workout, look over, once over, and they wanted to, poke and prod and make sure that back is very solid. And then at that point, if it were satisfactory to them, then he was off to have lunch with Jerry Jones. And the fact that he ended up having lunch with Jerry Jones goes to the fact that they are, in fact, satisfied that he's not only 100% healthy, but that he can take the field fairly immediately, as in if he signs this weekend.
That is the Injury Spotlight presented by OSMI. OSMI provides arthroscopic and robotic-assisted orthopedic surgery, foot and ankle surgery, sports medicine, physical therapy, and a ton more. Their team of orthopedic specialists have offices in Fort Worth, Decatur, and Mansfield to provide state-of-the-art orthopedic care to the North Texas area. When it comes to medical care, you and your loved ones deserve the best possible experience. So schedule your hassle-free appointment today at osmifw.com.
Hopefully so. Then he will have a very real shot at facing, guess who? The Philadelphia Eagles on December 10th, especially on a mini bye week coming off of this Thursday. I know the NFL scriptwriters, they are in their bag, right?
Yes, they are.
So that's funny because whichever of these two teams he doesn't choose, that's who he's facing on December 10th. Funny how that works. But yeah, so he left the building without a deal, which I said on Cowboys Break yesterday, that doesn't necessarily concern me because I feel like he wanted to do his due diligence just as these teams are still. So if I'm Shaq, if I'm his agent, of course you want to go on both of these, contender visits, and then you kind of play one against the other, because even if I know that I want to go and sign with the Cowboys, why not go visit the Eagles, see what they have to say, see what their offer is, and in the meantime, the Cowboys are looking at that, and maybe they get a little nervous and maybe they up their offer. So it's all business. At the end of the day, he left the Eagles facility without a deal either. So they're in the same situation the Cowboys are, which is waiting for Shaq Leonard to make a decision, which should come in the next couple of days or so.
Yeah, Patrik Walker, DallasCowboys.com, joining us this morning. One of the questions that I was bringing up in the roundup was who is advocating? Who's the Paul Heyman, right? Who's the Paul Heyman for this Shaq Leonard signing? The advocate for
my name is Paul Heyman.
Who's the Paul Heyman for this Shaq thing? Is it DQ?
Of course it's DQ, but he's not the only one. I will say there's more than one Paul Heyman. There's a Paul Heyman. There's an LA Knight. I mean, there's and so you got Dan Quinn being Paul Heyman, and then you have other guys on the defensive side of the ball, and Micah Parsons, probably went up to Jerry and was like, "Let me talk to you." So I mean, it just makes sense for the defense as a whole to want this guy there, and they do. And you look at former teammate in Malik Hooker on that side of the ball, Stephon Gilmore on that side of the ball. I mean, he has long-standing personal relationships with these guys, not just formerly professional, but ongoing personal relationships with these guys. And there's a lot of chemistry there already that exists between Shaq, and the Cowboys defense by virtue of those two guys. And then Dan Quinn obviously is trying to stand on the table for him, which is why Jerry and Steven in the front office courted him the way they did. It was, in fact, a full court press, and they really want Shaq Leonard in Dallas. So he knows unequivocally, regardless of what he decides, he knows unequivocally that the Cowboys want him in the building.
So DQ's Paul and Jerry Jones is Ted DiBiase, basically, then.
Let's do it, yeah, because money is no object.
There you
right?
go.
Everyone has a price.
Everyone got a price.
Everyone has a price.
The greatest laugh of
and
all
it's
time.
It's also promising that, 100%. 100%, because you got to lean back with it, too, with the belt on your shoulder.
Why do I do this to myself? Every
thing,
time I talk wrestling with you, bro, I'm like, we need to get this pod going. I do this all the time.
Because this is what we do. This is what we do, right? I mean, we're not even going to touch on the CM Punk stuff, the Randy Orton stuff.
No, because we'll go for 30 minutes, bro.
We got to go. So what I was going to say was promising about Jerry talking about how he said on 105.3 The Fan earlier this week, he said the financial component of it isn't really a thing when it comes to Shaq Leonard. And that's because, as we know, the Indianapolis Colts are on the hook for over $6 million for Shaq anyway. Mm-hmm. So, all the Cowboys offer has to be is respectable. So that's why, and that's easy for Jerry. So because it's not necessarily about a bidding war anymore. So if you take that component out of it, and not that Jerry won't pay for a guy that he wants, but the Cowboys don't like to set precedent or set the market or go high when they don't have to go high. So take the financial component out of it, and that really levels the playing field between Dallas and Philly. And then you start looking at just the items outside of that. Weather. Would you rather go play in Philadelphia where you're guaranteed to be outdoors in that Philadelphia weather in December and January with coming off of a back issue, and you're going to pay state tax there, and ... versus you come to Dallas, and as we have this conversation, it's a little bit cloudy, but the highs for the next several days are going to be like mid-60s. You can practice inside. You play inside. You see how the Cowboys facility looks. It's not dated. It's revamped, and it's beautiful and everything. You got your personal relationships with players. You got the best defensive coordinator in the game in Dan Q, who players will run through a wall for. He's standing on the table for you. I mean, it's a really easy sell, and the city of Dallas itself, as you know, Steele, is just a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, guess what? No state tax. So pretty attractive package for Shaq Leonard. So if for whatever reason he doesn't choose the Cowboys, that's all on him, because I don't see in any capacity where this is not a good sell for him to come here to the Cowboys. So fingers crossed that he does just that.
I agree, man. Let's talk about tonight's game real quick before we get you out of here. I usually ask you about X-factors, and sometimes it's maybe one or two guys, but I want to hit both sides of the ball because I think the Seahawks do present some challenges on both sides of the ball. So, Pat, give me your X-factor for the Cowboys on offense and the X-factor for the Cowboys on defense.
X-factor for offense, I'm going to go with Tony Pollard on this one. I'm a huge advocate in this Cowboys setup of offense to set up use the pass to set up the run. I think they have finally figured that out, and that's why Dak Prescott is on an MVP caliber playing level right now, and CeeDee Lamb and so forth and so on. But you got to take it on a week-to-week basis, and this opponent doesn't present that type of challenge as far as allowing you to just air it out. What they do have is the soft spot on their run defense. Seahawks, 19th in the league in rushing yards allowed, 19th in the league in rushing yards per attempt, 29th in the league in rushing touchdowns allowed, versus their secondary, which is really stingy. They're sticky, they're long, they're quick, Woolen and those guys, and they take the ball away well. I think this is a great opportunity for that offensive line to really show its continuity that is now established and really just start punching through that rush defense of the Seattle Seahawks. I think this could be a big game for Tony Pollard. We've been waiting for it. I think this might be it. And that will set up the pass because now you get that secondary cheating their eye to the backfield, playing forward, maybe throwing somebody in the box, and then guess what? Now you can just pass all over the field. So I think this is the particular week where you use the run to set up the pass. Not every week, but definitely this one. Flip to the opposite side of the ball still. I'm going to go with Jordan Lewis. We know what Deron Bland can do, and we know what Stephon Gilmore can do. Quite as it's kept, Gilmore's been playing some really good football.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he'll have a bit of a challenge with Lockett's speed. He will have a bit of a challenge with Lockett's speed, but I think this is where his veteran IQ can come into play as far as him knowing what the route is ahead of time and him telling you what your route is ahead of time. I'm confident in Gilmore, infinite confidence in future Defensive Player of the Year, Deron Bland. And I'm going to look at Jordan Lewis, though. Lewis has flashed this season. He's shown he can play some really good football, but he's also struggled a time or two. Mm-hmm. And now he's going up against the rookie in Jackson Smith-Njigba. We know what JSN can do from his days at Ohio State. He's a slot receiver for the Seahawks, and he's an impact guy for them as well. He is the third option, but I think he's approaching 500 yards so far. So keep an eye on the slot.
Trending, yeah.
It's trending, and then if you also look at it, it's Jordan Lewis. He didn't have the best outing last week, so he wants to bounce back and show everybody he can play at a high level. He's also doing it against a rookie. He does not want to let a rookie show him up. He's also Michigan going against Ohio State, and he won't let Ohio State show him up. So a lot of reasons for Jordan Lewis to be tested from the Seahawks standpoint. But a lot of motivation for Jordan Lewis to step up and have a great game. So if he can take away that slot, that puts that much more pressure on the outs, and then you might get another pick six from Deron Bland.
Oh, fantastic stuff, Pat. And I definitely agree with you. I think Jay Lou has a big challenge because one of the things they do with JSN is he's not your typical slot guy. They'll push the ball downfield with him. So this would be a tough matchup, maybe one of his toughest of the season.
Get physical with him at the line of scrimmage, which is something Jay Lou is really good at. That'll disrupt his timing, and especially from a rookie aspect, if you get your hands on that rookie and you keep pushing him around, punching him around, he's going to get flustered, and it's going to play in your favor. So, Jay Lou, get your hands dirty, and I know that you're willing to, so go do it.
It's Thursday, and I know you normally drop your science lab article, but it's a game day. Are you still doing that?
Not today because, like you said, it is a game day, and plus it was also on a short week. As far as from Sunday to Thursday, coming off holidays, just a lot of craziness, family time and everything. Got to work-life balance is key.
I feel you.
So
I feel you.
I had to sacrifice Science Lab this week. It'll be back next week on your regularly scheduled DallasCowboys.com. So we'll give you guys the heads up next week when we tap in.
In the meantime, you can get your science right here on the Scientific Method. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, big dog.
Oh, that's a fact. All right, talk to you later, brother.
That's my guy, Patrik No C Walker. DallasCowboys.com coming through, as always, with the Scientific Method. Thanks for watching, and make sure to follow and subscribe to A to Z Dallas so you don't miss an episode of the Scientific Method. Every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube, with every episode available on A to Z Sports.com.